Hello all, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we learn about regression testing. So let's get started. Regression testing is the practice of retesting the altered segment of code and any interconnected segment that could be impacted by this modification. Its objective is to ensure that no new defect have been introduced into the software following changes. The term regression implies a return to a previous state, and in software it denotes the reappearance of a bug. So when we should perform a regression testing? When new functionality is introduced into the system and the code is modified to accommodate and integrate this functionality with the existing code. When a defect is identified in a software and the code is debugged to rectify it. When the code is modified to enhance its performance or efficiency. So there is some process of regression testing that involves several steps. That first we can see here in the diagram. Trigger for testing: any changes made to the source code, such as adding new functionality or optimizing existing code, may lead to failure in the previous design test suite. After failure occurs, the source code is debugged to identify the bug in the program, that is called as debugging. Once the bugs are identified, appropriate modifications are made to the source code. After that, relevant test cases are selected from the existing test suite, ensuring coverage of all modified and affected part of the source code. New test case may be added in if it is necessary. The selected test cases are executed to perform regression testing, which ensure that the modification have not introduced new defect. Technique for selecting test cases for regression testing includes some steps. First, selecting all test cases. This involves selecting all test cases from the existing test suite, which is simple and safe but not always efficient. Random selection of test cases. Test cases are randomly selected from the existing test suite. However, this method is effective only if all test cases are equally capable of detecting fault, which is very rare. Selecting modification traversing test case. Only test cases that cover and test the modified portion of the source code and the affected part are selected. Selecting higher priority test cases. Test cases are assigned priority code based on their bug detection capability, customer requirement, etc. Test cases with the highest priority are selected for regression testing. For example, a test case with priority code 1 is more important than the test case priority code 2. Next is types of regression testing. So there are 4 types of regression testing. First is corrective regression testing. This type is used when specifications remain unchanged and all test cases can be reused. It is efficient, requiring less time to identify fault or bugs. It analyzes the impact of new code on existing source code. Uses a subset of existing test cases to minimize testing cost and efforts. Regression testing is essential to ensure that changes made to software such as enhancement or defect fix do not adversely affect existing functionality, typically conducted during the maintenance phase of the SDLC. It involves testing modified code potentially affected area to identify any new error introduced by the modification. This testing method can be applied at all 3 levels of testing. Second is progressive regression testing. This approach is applied when specification or alter require the creation of new test cases. It is particularly useful during the development of new test cases. Tester can execute necessary steps within the modified or updated version of the program without using the current program code. This method is effectively for implementing a few changes in the model and creating new test cases. Third is retest all regression testing. This method ensures all existing tests but may consume more time or cost due to the unnecessary execution of tests. It is essential for testers to understand the process thoroughly before initiating testing. However, for minor system modification, this approach is not recommended. Additionally, due to time constraint, clients often prefer to avoid this method for every software product. Next is selective regression testing. This method of software testing utilizes a subset of existing test cases to reduce testing time and cost. Its objective is to identify dependency between test cases and the program entities they cover. Selective regression testing follows three steps. That is, step 1 is identify the affected component of the software after changes have been made. Second step is select a subset of test case from the existing test suite that cover the affected component. Step 3 is test the changed program to verify its correctness. Step 4 is analyze the test result to identify any software failure. Step 5 is correct any fault that caused the failure. Step 6 is update the test suite and test history of the program. There is tools used for regression testing. Those are like first we will see about Selenium, a popular tool for automating web browser, widely used for regression testing of web application. Next is web application testing in Ruby. Another tool for automating web browser is basically designed for Ruby programming language. Third is Quick Test Professional, now known as Micro Focus UFT. It is used for automated function testing and regression testing. Next is RFT, Rational Functional Tester, a tool from IBM for automated functional and regression testing of software application. Next is Windrunner, a deprecated tool from HP, now Micro Focus, for automated functional and regression testing of the Windows application. Next is Silset, a tool from Micro Focus for automated functional and regression testing of web and desktop application. Now we will see advantage and disadvantage of regression testing. First advantage is ensuring that no new bug have been introduced after adding new functionality to the system. Automation is easy because most of test cases selected from the existing test suite. Their expected output are already known. Help maintain the quality of the source code. Now there is some disadvantage. It can be time and resource consuming if automated tools are not used. Required even after small changes in the code, which can increase the testing efforts. So overall conclusion of software regression testing is software stability and quality. While it can be resource intensive, its benefit in maintaining code quality and preventing new bugs justify its use. Thanks for watching.